There's been some interest in my, particularly the Z-axis power feed on my WM16B, so at long last, I'm sorry for the delay. I thought I'd better give some information out on exactly what I did. Excuse the handheld camera and the phone, it's all I've got, I'm afraid, but hopefully I'll be able to make things reasonably clear in exactly what we had to do to fit the Z-axis power feed. So first of all, the WM16B has got this shoulder as part of the casting that the original shaft runs in. So I had to make a plate which came out in my case just slightly beyond that shoulder to give me something to actually mount the power feed unit onto. And you see that's fairly straightforward, nothing too fancy, and it uses the fixing holes from the original plate, which is obviously still in there. The original shaft, in comparison, is, as you can hopefully see, about an inch shorter. It's 25mm shorter, and it was originally 16mm. The power feed required a 20mm shaft, hence the shoulder here. And all this is a copper washer that I've put in just so the steel of the shaft is turning against the copper washer rather than against the casting. And there is the same on the inside between the bevel gear and the casting. There's a bit of end float in there, but I say it's only rubbing. It runs in steel, but it's rubbing on copper washers. I think the best way for me to do this is to put everything on except the actual unit, because it'll be much easier for you to see the various components. So what we have is that the unit itself basically hangs off this, is bolted to this, but it's centred on the shaft. So that is a bronze spacer that I made up. This is the steel spacer that comes with the kit. And as you can see, that takes up the bulk of that 20mm section of shaft. And then you have the shims, which are part of the kit. This is a bit of a trial and error until you find the right spacing, so that the gear, we get a little key that goes in there, and then, that's always fiddly, and then the actual brass gear. Now I had, as you can see, cut this down quite a bit. If you've got the kit, you'll know it should be quite a bit longer. However, the reason for that is, as you can see, I don't have an awful lot of space here, and also I didn't want this shaft being too long. That should be probably about another maybe 3/4 of an inch, about 20mm longer, but you don't need it to be. And also, the longer this shaft is, the more chance, the more flex you're going to get on it when you are hand cranking. So that was cut down, and then basically another key, and then the hand wheel, which is over here, bear with me. And again, if I remember, I cut quite a bit off this, and just to shorten it down. And basically that acts to hold the gear hard up against the shims which are on the inside. These shims that I put in here to make sure the gear can't move anywhere, and then it's just a lock nut on the back. So once it's all fitted up, the hand wheel works as per normal, and the actual drive unit, power unit, is sitting in here. So it's not, none of it is overly complicated, although it is stuck. There we go. None of it's overly complicated. This is, I say, I think it's 25mm longer than the original shaft. But as the original shaft, I say 16mm, these power feed units run on 20mm shaft, so hence the main reason for a new shaft, that's the 20mm section there. Shouldered. On the original, obviously, it wasn't shouldered, and you could easily, if the handwheel came loose, you could be pushing the bevel gear further into mesh. So the fact that it's now got a shoulder on it is actually, I think, a better idea.